Just let me use the OS already. Okay, I told you I don't care. Oh, Christ. This is gonna be fun. Okay, back again. Today I've got a more unusual video, and you'll see there's a new computer in the picture here. This is a Toshiba Portege M400 tablet PC. Let me just give you a little overview of it. I bought this on eBay as a broken machine because when I first got it, it was booting to a blue screen of death, claiming that a required DLL file was missing, and a repair install of Windows XP allowed me to preserve the original Windows installation on here, which was nice because it's filled. You can see it was filled with bloatware. Most of the bloatware, like Norton and the Google toolbars, I've already removed, but I left all the Toshiba utilities because I want to see how far you can push this machine, which also happens to be, let me get the camera zoomed in on it, a Vista capable. Come on, camera, focus. Whatever, stupid camera. See, even the camera doesn't like Windows Vista. I'm kidding. Anyways, so I figured we might as well upgrade, because I do have the POS Ready update hack installed on here, but I figured, you know what, I want to see how far I can push this Vista-capable machine before it'll blow up in our face. So what I've got here is I've got some installation media. I've got a Windows Vista Business 32-bit disk here, which I've used. I made this way back in the day, probably in 2009 or 2010. And I made that disk, I acquired it from a totally legit website, just the ISO file. And unlike most Vista Business ISOs, which are just rips of Dell OEM copies of Vista Business, this one is a retail copy and will allow an in-place upgrade. So that's not something you usually see when you pirate Vista Business, and now pirating Vista is no big deal because it's abandonware, it's unsupported, and no one uses it anymore. So then I figured since Vista's out of support, I would go up to Windows 7, which I have another totally legit Windows 7 disk here that I made back in the day. But I also have this Windows Anytime Upgrade key to go from Windows 7 Home Premium to 7 Ultimate. The only problem is I don't know much about Windows Anytime Upgrade keys. I'm not sure if it's like a regular product key that I can use to just directly upgrade to Windows 7 Ultimate, not through Windows Anytime Upgrade, and if it'll let me activate with that key, because I did use that key, but the computer it was used on is no longer in service. It's been since been decommissioned, and so I figured I would just give that a try just to see if I could get Windows 7 to run on here. Toshiba officially provides drivers for this laptop up through Windows 7. I'm sure Windows 7 and up are pretty good at getting drivers, so if I do want to go to Windows 8, I have that option too. So let's go ahead and get started with the upgrade fest. I'm going to try to keep this as one continuous video file, so I don't have to keep converting the files, because I use a JVC camcorder. It's the only camcorder I've got. It's unfortunately 480p, but it saves in a proprietary .mod format that Final Cut nor iMovie can read, so I got to convert them with Handbrake before I can use them. Alright, anyways, let's go ahead and get on with the upgrade. So, we'll go ahead and start by inserting our Vista disk into the optical drive, and let's see what Windows Vista has to say about this computer, if I can remember which side the optical drive is on. Okay, it's over here. Let me go ahead and put in the disk. And I took the liberty of removing some of the bloatware that I figured would not be compatible with this with Windows Vista, because there is some stuff on here that might not work with Vista. So I figured it might be better to just go ahead and bite the bullet and remove some of the bloatware, like Google Toolbar. There was a Norton on here, and I just removed all that. Alright, so let me zoom in a little bit, and there we go. It's prompting me if I want to install Windows Vista. And this contains both service packs, so we'll go ahead and click on Install Now. And we'll go ahead and get into the setup and see how this reacts to Windows Vista. And obviously I'm not going to be keeping Vista on here due to end of support. Ideally I'd like to get Windows 7 on here, but if it doesn't take my key, then I'll probably just end up upgrading to Windows 8, because I don't have any more. The only other Windows 7 keys I have are starter keys. What happened? It's not reading the disk. There's no optical drive activity. What the hell? Yeah, there's no optical disk activity. Well, great, we're off to a great start already. Okay, it didn't crash this time, so I don't know why. That's just one thing I hate. That's one thing with laptop optical drives, is I just never have any luck with them. They always end up throwing disk read errors, or they just freeze altogether. And Alright, so let's see. Go online and get the latest updates for installation. Recommended. Well, you know what? Let's see if it can still do that. I doubt it, because Windows Vista's out of support now. But yeah, it doesn't look like it's finding any installation updates. So yeah, we can give it a try. But oh well, we tried. Yeah. Okay. Well, this isn't working. So guess I gotta click no next time. That's it. It's kind of interesting though that they removed the update database, because I know it didn't do. I know that XP, or I should have clicked no. Yep, this was a bad idea. All right, whatever. Let me go ahead and get out of this, and we'll try this again. Okay, let's try this again. Hopefully, the third time should be the charm here. I mean, it shouldn't be any surprise that the installation updates no longer work. I mean, this computer is connected to the internet via Wi-Fi, but yeah, we're just not going to do the installation updates because it looks like Microsoft took down. It looks like the server's down. So yeah, it makes sense though, because Vista's out of support now, so it makes sense. So let's not get the latest installation updates. This is a really slow optical drive. That, or it's just a really bad optical drive. If it continues like this, I'm probably just going to end up using my external optical drive. Okay, yeah, I totally read all that. Next, we want to do an upgrade. Okay, checking compatibility. Let's see how this plays out. And while this is checking the compatibility, I'll do a little commentary on how this is going to go. So, basically, I know not many techs do this, but I'm going to be doing an in-place upgrade from XP to Vista, and then Vista to 7, and potentially 7 to 8, depending on how 7 goes. Because I'd like to get this laptop running on a more modern OS, because I'm probably going to use it a little bit more for my college classes. So I figured I'd go ahead and upgrade this to a more modern OS than XP. And it's not that XP is unsafe, even though I did the POS Ready update hack. It's the fact that modern software won't run on it, and I'm sure the software I'll need in college is not going to run on Windows XP. It's probably going to need at least Windows 7. So I want to get this up to at least Windows 7, before classes start next month. So I figured. So that's why I'm doing this video. I decided to record it and share my experience upgrading to Windows 7. Now the thing is, though, the problem's going to come in when we get to Windows 7. Okay, I can't continue with that because there's software that's not compatible. So I have to remove the DVD RAM driver, Toshiba config free, and Bluetooth Toshiba stack. So let me do that, and then I'll be right back. Alright, we're back. So now we got rid of the crucial things that it said would not work, and holy shit, there's a ton of stuff it's saying might not work with Windows Vista. Might not work once your upgrade completes. So literally, it's saying that ProSet might not work, SQL Server, holy crap. All the Toshiba software is not going to work. Oh my god. Well, you know what? I'm willing to take that risk. I'm going to click next. And we begin the upgrade. Oh boy. Yeah, you're going to be seeing this screen a lot. So, funny how this machine is Vista capable, and half the stuff on here, and half the programs installed on here are not Vista compatible. Ah, good lord. Anyways. Anyways, we'll just go ahead and let it do this, because this is going to be a long process installing these programs. It's funny how, the one thing I don't like about Windows Vista and earlier is, I guess I could reinstall the Toshiba stuff. I know that they have Vista drivers on their website for Vista, but still. And they have Windows 7 drivers too, so if I do have to reinstall those programs, it'll be fine. It's no big deal, but seriously, Microsoft, I can see why you got sued back in the day for the Vista-capable stickers, because, yeah, this machine is telling me that half my software, half the bloatware rather, is not going to work with Windows Vista. We'll see if that's true once we actually get up to Windows Vista, but I'm probably going to end up cutting a lot of this out, but I figured I'd tell a little story while it's copying the files over to the hard disk. When I was in grade school and in high school too, around 2007, 2008, my middle school got new computers with because back in the day, if you hated Vista, if you were anti-Vista back in the day, you could buy a new computer with what they called the Windows Vista Business with bonus downgrade to Windows XP Professional. And what that was basically your computer came with Windows XP, and then you had the option. It came with a Windows Vista COA. So if you wanted to upgrade to Vista, you could just find yourself some installation media and use the Windows Vista key to perform a direct upgrade to Vista. And I know that since literally I don't think I ever ran into a business except for one community college that used Windows Vista, and I'm talking this is back in like 2011 when the community college that used Windows Vista. They used Vista Enterprise, and it was pretty buggy. So, because it was the Vista RTM with no service packs installed, so that's why it was all buggy and crappy and whatnot. So, that was the only. The thing was, getting back to my story, I used to write down, and I should have asked for permission first when I did this, but I used to, when I was in grade school, in maybe about the 6th, 7th, or 8th grade, what I would do is, if I wanted to install Vista on a computer at my house, because I personally never had a problem using Vista with the service packs, with at least Service Pack 1, I would write down the product key and I would use it, and I probably should have asked my IT teacher if I could do that, but I'm sure he would have said, take all the Vista keys you want, because, I don't remember any school that used Windows Vista. They used XP, and then when Microsoft killed XP support, they went up to Windows 7, and they'll probably skip Windows 8 and go to Windows 10 if I had to guess, for the net when Windows 7 support is retired. So, yeah. Then in high school, I just took a picture of the COA with my phone and got my Vista keys. But since Vista's no longer supported, I don't think it's going to activate. So, and the good thing is, when you upgrade Windows, you don't have to activate Windows to perform an in-place upgrade. Let me zoom in a little bit on this so you can see what it's doing. This 480p camcorder. But yeah, you don't have to activate Windows before you can do an in-place upgrade. You can do an in-place upgrade on a non-activated copy of Windows, and it'll work just fine. So when we go to Windows, I'm not even going to bother to try to activate Windows Vista. We're just going to go straight to 7 and see if it works. We'll just see. I hope that I have a 32-bit disk. I think it is an x86 32-bit disk of Windows 7, but if it's not, I'll have to go grab me an ISO of Windows 7 32-bit, and it'll have to be Ultimate. I think the disk I have there is a Universal, though, so, I don't know. I think it's, again, I don't know if it's 64 or 32. That is one feature I do miss about the Windows Vista installer, though, was if you chose not to enter a product key, it would give you the option to continue and select the version of Windows you purchased. So if you wanted to try out another edition of Vista, you could do that. You just hit next on the product key screen, didn't enter a product key. It'd say, like, you have to do this or else, you're going to get nag screens. but then you click no, and then you would be able to select whatever edition of Windows Vista you wanted. So it was really a unique feature. So we're almost done copying Windows files here. I think when it gets to gathering files, which it just started, I'm going to go ahead and pause the recording because this is going to take a long time. With all the software that's on here, this is going to take a while. So I'll go ahead and pause the recording here, and I'll come back when we get towards the end of this. Alright, so we went ahead and got through the first, cut a little bit of the footage out because my camera only has about 2 hours of footage recording time left. I'll have to go through later today and prune some of the old recordings off this camera because I did that for literally a bunch of old videos or canceled videos that never got uploaded. They were just tech videos that were just way too shaky because I didn't have a tripod back then. So. But I went ahead and, with a little YouTube revenue, I went ahead and got myself a new tripod, so that's why this video is a much more stable video. Well, a little bit. I mean, I'm recording this on a carpeted floor and on the 3rd floor of an apartment building, so yeah. But anyways, actually the gathering files didn't take as long as it usually does. Usually that takes about, when you have a computer that has about this much stuff on it, that takes about probably 30 to 40 minutes at least. That's the longest it's ever taken for me. But yeah, now it's at expanding files. It just rebooted. The disk is still spinning, and the disk is still spinning, so that's somewhat promising. But yeah, this is probably the major hurdle here, is going from Windows XP to Windows Vista, because Windows XP and Vista were very different in architecture. As you know, as everyone knows, as some may not know, Windows Vista was originally codenamed Longhorn, and they just built it on top of Windows XP originally, but they added so much crap to it that it got overloaded. It became extremely buggy, and they reset the development and built Vista off of the Windows Server 2003 architecture. But they completely changed the architecture of Windows. Like, they completely changed the file system. I mean, and Windows XP and Windows Vista are very different operating systems in nature. So that's why when Windows Vista first came out, there was a lot of controversy about software not working correctly, because that was the case, where a lot of software that worked on Windows XP would not work on Windows Vista, and you're probably going to see that when the upgrade completes, because it was saying that a lot of those Toshiba utilities, which many run at startup, wouldn't work correctly on Vista. And if that's the case, I can just reinstall them, because you just go to the Toshiba website. I can just uninstall them, go to the Toshiba website, and just reinstall the Vista versions so that they'll work on Windows 7, because most Windows Vista software works on Windows 7. But yeah, the major hump is going from Windows XP to Windows Vista, because they're just such different operating systems in nature. And then going to Windows 7 from Windows Vista is not too big of a difference, because Windows 7 was basically just an improved version of Windows Vista. So it looks like it's going to hang here for a while, so I'll come back when this is closer to done. Okay, well, it's finally gotten through expanding files and installing features and upgrades. Expanding files actually took a lot longer than gathering files. I mean, it's been about 40 minutes now, and that's pretty typical of Vista for an upgrade install. It takes it's a long process. It takes a long time. But don't think this is the end, because there's more to this. Believe me, there's more. I think it wants to restart now. Usually it restarts after installing features and upgrades or updates. So it's probably it's gonna restart. It's gonna say, like, please wait while Windows sets up your computer or something like that. And then there's a little surprise that a lot of you Windows 7 fanboys and girls who don't really remember Vista or never used it will get to see. We'll see that in, I don't even know how long. I can't even take a guess, because this has taken a really long time to upgrade. What I'm probably going to do, if the programs aren't compatible with Windows 7, is I'll probably just end up installing, I mean, a lot of it's just Toshiba bloatware, which I know Toshiba installed a ton of bloatware back in the day. So what I'll probably end up doing is just if I start having issues with the upgrades, or it's just going to tell me I need to remove a bunch of crap like it did the first when I tried to upgrade to Vista, I'll probably just end up swapping the hard drive. I mean, I've got plenty of hard drives in my spare parts bin, so I'll probably just end up doing that instead. There's still disk activity, though. That's good. I still see hard disk activity, so that means we're churning through this slowly but surely, but not slow enough. Yeah, well, this is another controversial issue with Windows Vista back in the day, was it took forever to install compared to Windows 8 and Windows 10, which install just in the snap of your fingers. Windows Vista took forever to install, and even Windows XP took a while to install, but Vista set a new record for the OS that takes the longest to install. And it's just, as you can see, I've been talking for 2 minutes now, and it's just been sitting at the screen, and now it tells me it needs to restart. So I'll probably end up speeding up this footage. I'll probably just end up recording the rest just so you can see what the rest of the install looks like, and then I'll just speed up the footage. And I just noticed my camera's time is wrong, so I'll have to fix that too. I gotta fix everything, don't I? It'll be interesting to see though if it picks up the video driver. Usually with Intel GMA 945, 965, Vista usually picks it up, but not always, so we'll see. There's my reflection in the screen. Okay, yeah, and a lot of people don't, yeah, and that's another thing that it lets you do is, if you're quick enough with the arrow keys, you can revert back to Windows XP and save your system. In all honesty, though, I will give my honest opinion about Windows Vista. It wasn't a terrible OS. It wasn't the horrible, awful OS people claimed it to be. It wasn't as bad as Windows Millennium. It wasn't. I mean, Windows Millennium is decent, but the first Vista computer I ever had was back in probably in early 2007. My dad, because I was really stoked for Vista's release when I was 9 years old and Vista was first coming out. I was really stoked for its release. I was pumped for it. But then I remember my dad and I built a computer back in early 2007. Or my dad. There was a computer shop that my dad started using back then, and they built custom machines. And as a 9-year-old kid, I was just starting to get into computers and how to build them. And I remember I went to that shop. They let me help with building my dad's new computer for his law firm, and we installed Windows Vista on it. And we installed Vista Ultimate on it, and I remember literally everything that his QuickBooks, he often did QuickBooks and Quicken, which were the 2006 versions at the time. Neither of those programs ran on Windows Vista because of UAC, user account control. So he ended up downgrading it back to Windows XP, and the Vista key is history. But yeah, I mean that's basically that was the first Vista computer we ever had. And then in 2008, in July of 2008, Dad said, okay, Service Pack 1's out, or at least I said Service Pack 1's out to my dad. Jeez, why do I keep saying my dad over and over again? I said to my dad that Service Pack 1's out, why don't we try out Windows Vista again? And my dad still hated it. I never had a problem with it. With Service Pack 1 installed, I never had a problem with it. But my dad apparently was getting blue screens and all his software wasn't compatible, so he ended up staying on XP until Windows 7 came out, and then we upgraded his computer to Windows 7. Eventually, he did get the Vista computer that I built in July of 2008, which is at my parents' house. But yeah, I mean, I still have that that computer is still in use to this day. It currently runs Windows 10, but yeah, that computer is still in use, and it was originally a Vista machine. We had no problems with it, and I had a Dell Inspiron 530S as well back in the Vista days in 2008, and I never had a problem with Vista on it. I mean, it was a little sluggish because it was a Celeron, but Vista was a very hardware-demanding operating system, and you know, even Windows 7, if you try to load it on like a Pentium 4, Windows 7 doesn't even run well. So personally, I really have no problem with Vista after Service Pack 1, but RTM was a complete glitchy mess. It was a whole glitch within itself. This disk contains Service Pack 2, so Yeah. But as you can probably see, it takes freaking forever to install on this computer. So to prevent my camera from running out of memory, I'm going to go ahead and shut off the recording, and I'll come back when it's done. So it's been about an hour, and the good news is it got our video driver. That's something to be thankful for. I've got my MacBook over there so that I can get the correct drivers. On Toshiba's website, they go up to Windows 10 for supported operating systems, but the actual drivers, aside from just BIOS update and documentation, which are not technically drivers, only goes up to Windows 7, which is okay because this machine Windows 7's a good OS. Vista has just been taking forever, and now it's still setting up the computer. So Vista so far takes the cake and it's still completing the upgrade. At least it got the video driver, though. That's a good thing. But yeah, it's been on this completing upgrade screen for probably about another 20 to 30 minutes now. I mean, the stove clock is right in front of me, and when I started this video, it was about 3:15 in the afternoon, and now it's 4:55. It's 5 minutes till 5 o'clock, and we're still upgrading. So I'll come back when we, for real this time, I'll come back when we get to the setup Windows screen. So finally, after about an hour of waiting, we're finally here at the setup Windows screen. Well, since we're out of support, I'm just going to hit Ask Me Later. Eastern Time is correct. And then when I click this, after the Thank You Start screen, this is the part I was talking about that some of you youngsters who are so used to installing Windows 7 might not remember about our good old friend, or to some good old fiend, Windows Vista. We'll go ahead and see that. We'll see that in a second when it comes up. Because Windows Vista has one extra step. Just when you thought you were done upgrading Windows after waiting several hours, when the disk spins up here. Oh, there we go. Okay. Please wait while Windows checks your computer's performance. Yes, this is one of the parts of the Vista installation that you don't see in any other version of Windows but Vista, is this right here. And I think I might have mentioned this in the Fujitsu Lifebook P1610 video, but nonetheless, for those of you who haven't seen that video, I'll say it again. This is where Windows checks to see if it basically checks your computer's hardware. It checks your CPU, your RAM, and most importantly your video card, because this is what it uses to determine your Windows Experience Index rating, and it also determines whether your system can run Aero or not. And this machine, being Vista capable, should definitely be able to run Aero with no problems. I'll go ahead and talk a little bit over this, and we'll see how far it'll get before, and whatever. But what we're going to do after this is we're going to see if there's anything that's incompatible, that's throwing errors when we start up the computer. And if there are programs that are doing that, then what we'll do is we'll go ahead and get rid of them. I've got Revo Uninstaller on a flash drive. We'll get rid of them with Revo, and then we will upgrade to Windows 7. I'm not even going to bother attempting activation because I'm pretty sure the activation servers for Vista have since been taken offline due to end of support. So I'm just going to go ahead and pop in my Windows 7 disk. Hopefully it's 32-bit. If it's not, I can usually tell when it's 32 or 64, because if it's the wrong version, it'll say like run SPERR32, which basically means you've got the wrong version. So, and then like you saw in the Draga video, it says run setup error.exe if it's the wrong version. So I'll go ahead and this is going to take a while, so I'm going to cut this out, and when we get to the desktop, I'll see you then, if I can get my thumb in the shot there. One thing to note about Windows Vista Business before just before we get to the desktop here, is that it was a pretty stripped down version of Windows for being high up on the edition hierarchy, because even Vista Home Premium had more features than Business. Business doesn't have Windows DVD Maker, Windows Media Center is not included in Business. It actually lacks a lot of features that were included in lower editions of Vista. Which is kind of interesting because because I mean I get it. It was called Business for a reason, but even Windows 7, I know Professional had Windows Media Center and Windows DVD and DVD functionality, whereas Vista just excluded all that in the Business Edition. I don't know why. I mean, honestly, I think Vista Business is probably one of the worst editions because it's kind of stripped down, but yet they kept Arrow and stuff like that, and it didn't really make any sense back then. An operating system so overdone, we've chopped it up into 6 different versions, none of which work. Not until you spend hundreds more dollars on equipment upgrades, because now you'll see more crashes than a NASCAR rodeo. For those of you who don't remember, that was a video reference. I'll probably play a little clip in there. It's an operating system so maddening you'll want to drive up to Redmond to throttle Bill Gates. And we're just sitting at this please wait screen. Oh, you know why? Because we're domain joined. That's right. I forgot about that. I forgot about my own computer. Let me log in. See if we can actually get in. I don't think our fingerprint sensor works anymore. I wouldn't be surprised if it didn't. Trust relationship failure. I know that happens all the time in Vista. For whatever reason, I get all these the trust gets broken all the time, and I don't know why. That'd be bad actually, because I don't think I know a local user logon, so that might be bad. I think we lost our fingerprint sensor too, so I didn't try it, but this is the moment of truth here. If we actually get to the desktop after this unusually long upgrade, we can see if anything needs to be removed, reinstalled, etc., etc. Yeah, I'm not even going to bother with Windows. As I said, I'm not going to bother with Windows Update or activation because I don't think it's going to work. In fact, I don't even think Windows Update probably is guaranteed not to work because it didn't work when we tried to get the latest installation updates. We can try it again with Windows 7, but I don't know. I don't know really. I don't really want to. I don't know if I want to chance it. All I know is the performance is definitely degraded with Vista, and that was another thing people didn't like about Vista was that it was pretty slow. Now this is the first boot, obviously, so it gets a pass on this one. But yeah, another thing was people said it was extremely slow and unreliable. So, I mean, I personally never had a problem with it on period correct hardware. That's just my personal take on it. The only time I've had a problem with it is if you don't have at least a Core Duo processor and 2 gigabytes of RAM to spare. That's when I've had issues with it. But other than that, I haven't really had any issues with it. So, but we've been saying at this welcome message for several minutes now. So, when we get to the desktop, for real, preparing your desktop, just as I say, stuck at welcome. But anyways, yeah, when we get to the desktop, we'll see what we need to do, and if nothing, we'll just go right to Windows 7. So, see you guys in a minute. Okay, we're at the desktop, and we've already got a compatibility error message, but it's Sonic Solutions, so I don't really. But the good news is it's not a driver I really care about. So there you go. There's your welcome center. We got Core 2 Duo can't see in the viewfinder, T7200 at 2 gigahertz and 2 gigabytes of RAM. We've got Arrow too, so that's good. That means we got the drivers, but you know what? I don't really care about this, so cancel. Oh great, now what does it want? I don't really care about. Come on, I don't care about the Sonic Record Now driver. I can just uninstall it. Come on. Just let me use the OS already. Okay, I told you I don't care. Oh Christ, this is gonna be fun. You know what? Let me go ahead and get my Revo flash drive. I'll be right back. Yeah, so Sonic Record Now I don't really care about, so I think it was saying Sonic DLA isn't even compatible. So you know what? I'm just gonna get rid of the Sonic stuff on here. Oh, look at that! It's opening up my Opera and trying to tell me thanks for installing Revo. The good news is it looks like trying to uninstall it broke that loop it was in, where it just kept looping back to the same error message telling me it's not compatible, like I didn't already know that. So we'll just go ahead and let Revo do its thing, and then we'll be moving on our way up to Windows 7. Alright, so I went ahead and removed that Sonic DLA that Windows was complaining about. So now I think it's time to go up to Windows 7. Come on, there we go. Alright, get the camera repositioned so we can actually see what's going on. The good thing is, though, I don't see no programs were throwing errors, so that's what I was concerned about. But the good news is it didn't happen, so I think we're good in that respect. I'll just unplug my flash drive here really quickly. Probably should have ejected it safely, but I'll take my chances. Okay, run setup. Let's do that. Do we have audio? Oh yeah, we have an audio driver. I see the icon down in the notification area. That's good. Alright, Windows 7. Install now. Looks just like Windows Vista, except it's Windows 7. Okay, so we'll start. Oh, I like how the tablet PC icon's still there. That's kind of funny, actually. All right, let's go ahead and get this upgrade show on the road here. I didn't even bother to activate Vista because, I think I already said this, didn't I? End of support. So, yep, or end of life, as some people call it. So let's see if Windows 7 is going to complain about any programs that I have to absolutely uninstall before I can even upgrade, because that's what Vista did. It's probably going to tell me I got to remove a bunch of programs like Sonic Record. Well, Sonic Record now, it's probably going to tell me I got to remove that. I removed Sonic DLA with Revo, which was the program it was throwing compatibility errors at me for, but I just decided. But I should probably remove Record now, but I can always do that again if need be. So we'll let this copy temporary files, and we'll come back when we get to the screen we all know and love. Taskbar, Vista glitches. Oh, you probably can't see that. All right. Do we want to get the latest updates for this one? I think I'm going to say yes. We are connected to the internet, so we'll see if this works this time with Windows 7. And if it doesn't, then we'll just do the same thing we did with the Windows Vista installation. We'll just restart it and see what happens. So for now, let me go ahead and let this do its thing. If it wants to do its thing, that is. Alright, so the installation updates didn't work again, but you know what? No big deal. Alright, so we want Ultimate, because that's the only thing. It's the only key I've got left. I've got this Windows Anytime Upgrade package, which is supposed to be used to upgrade from 7 Home Premium to 7 Ultimate, but yeah, this is going to be doing an upgrade from Vista Business to 7 Ultimate, so we'll see if it takes this key. My guess is probably not, but if it doesn't take the key, I can try to spoon feed it or force feed it through SLUI Manager, so let's see if I can do it that way and just do phone activation, because phone activation has saved my ass more times than I can count. But this is indeed a universal 32-bit disk, so I don't think it has Service Pack 1, though, is the only problem, but I can always install that later. And I think it froze. Son of a bitch. Okay, it didn't crash this time. Thank God. I'm sure there's probably going to be something it's going to want me to remove before I can actually perform an upgrade installation, so this is probably going to have to go... There's my dinner finished. Yay. Alright, well, I'm going to go continue making dinner while this checks the compatibility, and so help me God, if I have to restart this installation, I'm going to be royally pissed off. Okay, let's see what it wants now. Volume might not work properly. Okay, yeah, it looks like the same thing. Alright, well, let's go. Since it worked on Vista, we'll just assume it works on 7, and if not, we can cry about it later. And so we have come together again to witness upgrading to Windows upgrading to Windows 7 from Vista. I didn't spend that much time on Vista. I should have spent a little more time, but it's too late to turn back now. So what are you gonna do? Anyways, we'll just come back when this is done and I've had my dinner, and yeah, we'll just come back then. So I'm restarting the setup again because the system decided to blue screen. Yeah, it got to gathering files and then it blue screened. of course I wasn't recording because I was eating dinner, and I'm sitting there and it's restarting, and then it said Windows has recovered from a serious error. Oh boy. This is the third time. Hopefully it's the charm. I hope it is, because if it's not, going through all this crap again. I think what happened was the system, I think the reason it blue screened is because the system overheated. Just kind of weird, because these stools aren't exactly flat. I mean, there's a bit of a dip, so where you can sit in them properly. But I don't know. I don't know why it blue screened. Probably all you anti-Vista people out in the comments are going to be saying that's why you shouldn't have upgraded to Vista, Ben. Well, whatever. Be that as it may, we'll go ahead and try this one more time and see if it works. And if it doesn't, then we'll just swap the hard drive and do a clean install of Windows 7, because this is balls. Yeah, I don't care about all that stuff. I'm willing to take my chances. Okay, let's try this again. Well, about 2 hours have passed, and thankfully it got past the third time was indeed the charm, and we got past the point where it had the blue screen. I don't know why it did that. I've never had that happen during an upgrade where it just blue screens. I know that it wasn't the Windows setup, though. It was Vista that caused the blue screen, and it still was complaining about Sonic Record Now. And don't mind that noise behind me, it's just the washing machine. But yeah, literally, my laundry's going to be done. This Windows 7 so far has taken the cake for taking the longest to upgrade. It took about an hour straight just to gather the system files. Like, it went from like 5:15 to like 6:30. It was gathering the system files, and that was after or something like that. It was like, I'm not timing this, but yeah, so far it's a little weird, but Windows 7 has taken the longest to upgrade from Windows Vista. Try to straighten the camera up a little bit more so you can see that better. Yeah, thank God, it got past the point where it had the error, or the blue screen, but good lord. And it's probably still going to complain about Sonic Record Now, even though I got rid of it. Vista capable. It's also kind of funny because manufacturers, OEMs who made Vista capable machines, what they would do is they would sometimes send upgrade kits, like direct upgrade to Windows Vista kits, which is basically just a standard Windows Vista upgrade CD or DVD that you'd put in, and that's all it was, really. And they did the same. Some manufacturers did the same thing for Windows 7, because early in the Windows 7 life cycle, they did the downgrade rights again. They did like you could get it with XP and then upgrade to Windows 7 when you were ready. But if half the programs weren't compatible, it's just one of those things where that you can see why people criticize Vista so much. So once again, when we get to the setup Windows screen, I'll come back. Oh, this is a familiar startup screen, the one that we all know and love, and will love until, well, 3 years from now. Well, 2 technically, but closer to 3 than 2. Oh man, Vista was an absolute flop on this machine. It's just funny to see these Vista capable machines being upgraded to Vista, and then there's all sorts of compatibility issues, and it makes you wonder. It makes it obvious why Microsoft was sued over the Vista capable stickers that they used to put on these that OEMs used to put on these computers. Windows 7, in other words, is just a better version of Vista, in my opinion, because it was more optimized for this kind of hardware, but also for older hardware like older Pentium system. Excuse me, camera. Did I tell you to go out of focus? There you go. But yeah, Windows 7 was just more optimized than Vista and ran a lot better on these Core 2 Duo machines with only 2 gigabytes of RAM. But in my personal experience, I have not gotten even Windows 7 to run well on any computer with 1 gigabyte of RAM, and sometimes even 2 gigabytes of RAM for the 64-bit version, although 2 gigabytes is the minimum you need for the 64-bit version. Okay, type the product key. Okay, well this is the part that is probably going to fail, but let me go ahead and type the product key and let's see if it works. I don't think so, though. Well, it said the product key is incorrect, so that means this key can only be used for anytime upgrade and cannot be used to do a clean install. Funny, though, because it says down here, where is it? Refer to it if you ever need to reinstall, and it says this key is not correct because it's only for anytime upgrade. So we're going to have to try to spoon feed it through System License Manager. So we'll go ahead and try it through SLUI, see if we can get it injected that way. Be right back. So it turns out you cannot use a Windows Anytime Upgrade key to do a clean install like I thought you could, because it looks just like a retail product key, but they can only be used to do Anytime Upgrade and nothing but Anytime Upgrade. So now I have a non-genuine copy of Windows, as you can see here. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and we're just going to have to rearm the system with System License Manager, and then what we're going to have to do is we're just going to upgrade to Windows 8 because I'm tired and this is taking forever. So that is what we will do. So we'll go ahead and get started on that. Alright, so we got one more of these things to go. So we got to go one step higher. Let's just run setup and be done with this crap. Seriously. I may just end up swapping the hard drives anyways. I'm just doing a clean install because I got to install Home Premium before I can go to Ultimate. Because unfortunately, Anytime Upgrade keys can only be used for just that, Anytime Upgrade. If I see one more of these screens. At least I found my 32-bit copy of Windows 8, because the other one apparently was 64-bit. You can tell because if it says run setup error SPERR32, then that means it's the wrong version. So you can tell just from the UAC prompt it's the wrong version. Oh my god. So this is going to take probably another hour or so to upgrade to Windows 8. And this I actually do have a product key for. That's not an anytime, well, Windows 8 doesn't even have anytime upgrade, but it's an upgrade key, so hopefully we can upgrade to Windows 8 and just be done with this crap, because, oh my god, I'll tell you, this is just crazy. And then from 8 we can go to 8.1. So, and that's just a Windows Store update, so. Alright, we'll go ahead and let this go. And, yeah, this has been an eventful night. Alright, starting setup. Okay, do we want to go online this time? You know what? Let's try this again. Okay, so Windows 8 it actually works, but for 7 and Vista it didn't. Oh Lord. Alright, well, we'll go ahead and just we'll go ahead and just get the installation updates this time, because this one seems to work. So if it works, we'll go on. Alright, so wait, evaluation. Oh, you've got to be kidding me. Are you serious? This is Enterprise? Oh, god damn it. Sure, let's go online and get the latest updates again. This is going to be a long night. Go ahead and just do this anyways. So this is a couple days later after upgrading to Windows 7 on this computer, and I got it activated, but I had to use, let's just say, different means to activate, if you know what I mean. Because, and I'm going to go on a little rant here, so if you don't like rants, I suggest that you click the back button in your browser or go to a different video. or maybe watch one of your recommended videos, because I think that not being able to use a Windows Anytime Upgrade key to activate a clean installation of Windows is just plain idiotic. I think it's just completely inane because, I mean, that product key was no longer in use. I mean, it looks like it's a retail product key, and as I showed in the video before, it says under here, get this in front of the camera, it says, where does it say that? Oh, it's over here, next to the product key. But it says, keep this key and refer to it if you ever need to reinstall Windows 7. So they're saying if you need to reinstall Windows, keep this key. And this key was used on a computer that no longer has Windows 7 installed on it, and it hasn't been used in years. In fact, the computer's been decommissioned. I scrapped it for parts. But it clearly, and so the wording there makes it look like you could use a Windows Anytime Upgrade key to activate a clean install, and it says if you ever need to reinstall Windows, use that key, and yet when you go to do it on a clean install, it makes you think you can do it. You can use that key with a clean install, but after doing some internet research, it turns out I would have to install Windows. I would have to install Home Premium, because that's what this upgrade media is for, going to Home Premium to Ultimate. I'd have to install Home Premium and then use the key, and that's what they consider a reinstallation. So, great, so real clever Microsoft, real clever. I don't know if I know Windows Anytime Upgrade is gone after 8. I know it was replaced with add features, so that if you wanted to do that, that's the equivalent of Anytime Upgrade after Windows 7. But seriously, it's pretty dumb that I had to crack activate because I can't use a Windows Anytime Upgrade key to activate a clean install. I mean, it's pretty stupid. I don't know if 8 and 10 are the same way. Probably not, because they have the digital entitlement with Windows with 8 and 10, with UEFI BIOSes. But seriously, that's my little rant here for today. So thanks Microsoft. Real great word choice. Pretty misleading if you ask me. But nonetheless, I got the computer running 7 Ultimate. We're activated. So yeah. And I couldn't even use the System License Manager command, because if you type in an command line, slmgr.vbs /IPK, and then a product key, that'll install a new product key into Windows, but it kept erroring out, probably because this machine is domain joined, but it kept erroring out saying that it couldn't do it for whatever reason. And so yeah, that was real great. So I'm still installing software on it. You can still see it's got all the bloatware that it had when it had XP on it. But I tried to go to Windows 8, but here's what happened. The installer kept freezing. I don't know if it's the disk I have. I tried it. I mean, because the key is for 8.0 and not 8.1. So I have an 8.0 Pro installation disk, but the installation kept getting stuck at making sure you're ready to install. It would just get there, and it would just get stuck there. It would get stuck in a loop, and it wouldn't get past that screen. Why? I have no idea. But I think if I want to put 8 on this thing, I'll end up swapping the hard drive. The problem is, since this uses a custom SATA RAID driver, the driver that I was able to find only works with Toshiba hard drives, and the drive I want to put in here is a Western Digital drive. So it won't so every time I go to install, at least on 7 and Vista, it just says I have no drives, and the only time I can get it to detect the drive is if I use the driver I found with the Toshiba drive, and otherwise it just says there's no drives. So yeah. It's pretty. This is definitely an interesting laptop. This is for those of you who, unless I didn't mention it before, this is a Toshiba Portege M400 laptop or tablet PC. But anyways, I'm going to go ahead and install some updates, and I think we'll conclude this video here. But for those of you who are wondering if you can do clean installs with a Windows Anytime Upgrade key, the answer is no. And keep that in mind, because it's what forced me to crack activate. But at least if I'm in an airport or a public place and the cops ask me if Windows is genuine, I got this box right here to convince them. So, yeah. But still, I mean, you shouldn't. I don't condone cracking Windows and using the DAS loader, but anymore. But you know, sometimes you got to do a little dirty work when Microsoft plays hardball with you. Anyways, I'll see you guys in the next video.